Quick disclaimer, as of writing this video I'm about 30 hours through the game and have just finished the story and done a variety of the side missions and adventures the game has to offer. Yet, it still hasn't really clicked for me yet. Now, in Dying Light 2 you play as a pilgrim called Aiden, a runner, like in Mirror's Edge, who travels from city to city nomadically. Aiden has arrived in the city of Villador in search of a long-lost family member. The city is populated by the Peacekeepers, a militaristic group, and the Survivors. They're two opposing factions confined within the city, both vying for power. It's a rather unharmonious situation. On top of this, we have the usual zombies you come to expect occupying the city, as well as bandits and the renegades. You can expect to see a lot of merchants and areas of interest throughout the city, with huge climbable sections like uninhabited hospitals, skyscrapers, and windmills, which operate similarly to the towers in Far Cry games of old. Whilst it's fun, parts of the game will start to drag by the end of the story. Techland somewhat controversially claimed its new and company first AAA adventure would take place 500 hours to beat the game. I probably won't reach that level of playtime though. Now, I'm not saying the game's bad at all, quite the opposite, but that is what confuses me even more. The gameplay is more refined than the original, and the grapple and extra additions help to make the world feel even more enjoyable to explore. The game slowly trickles these additions and perks to you throughout the story, so you never feel overwhelmed by anything, but you always have something new to learn or a perk to look forward to unlocking. Certain areas are inaccessible until later in the story when you have leveled up enough or have unlocked a certain skill, and it makes revisiting areas enjoyable on your second or even third go. Would I recommend that you buy it? If you enjoyed the first one like me or are interested in the game, of course you should. It's a great companion piece to the original, and whilst it does little to grab you in terms of the story, it's still an enjoyable play. I could easily run around the world for hours doing next to nothing. It's similar to the likes of the older Assassin's Creed games in Mirror's Edge in that regard. Writing all of this down perplexes me as to why I found myself forcing myself to play the game, as opposed to spending every free minute I have diving into the world. Normally I'd wait until I've fully finished everything I'd want to in a game until writing my thoughts like this, but something is stopping me from wanting to play to my heart's content. The daytime exploration is liberating and exciting, which beautifully juxtaposes the nighttime, where everything and everyone is out to get you. Rewards are increased, but so is the danger. Good night, good luck. It was a selling feature of the original, and whilst it feels relegated to a lesser system in this game, it feels even more dangerous than before and still an important aspect of the game. Only being allowed to explore for a limited time before having to return to a safe area at night adds a real danger. You can't afford to stop for a minute or two to catch your breath, craft items, or kill too many enemies. You also have chases which, when they get to the maxed out level 4, are both exhilarating and totally frightening. A torch and hatchet won't do much against a huge swarm of zombies who are right behind your every move. Now, the limited time the game allows you to explore during the night is a beautiful addition to the parkour and complements it excellently. You can tell Techland dissected the core gameplay systems, how they interact with each other, and have improved them to a higher level compared to the original. All of this isn't to say you're limited in going out at night, but just know it's far more dangerous than the first game. It's just a shame I find the world less enjoyable to explore compared to Haran. Give me the systems in this game mixed with the original's world and I think you're in for a perfect gameplay loop. Another of my main issues is I just don't really find the story interesting in the slightest. Without going into spoilers, I appreciate what the devs were trying to do here, but almost all of the characters are uninteresting, and the ones whom you were warm to are gone before you have time to get to know them, their motivations or goals. It makes everyone feel like walking, talking, parkouring exposition dumps as opposed to real people. And it makes the already pretty generic story feel tired before it gets up and running. It may just be me, but the worst culprit for this is the little girl who the story revolves around, and I cannot stand her. At times I wanted to skip the cutscene she was in as it just got to such an obscene level of annoyance. Now, the game offers the player some choices in terms of what faction you want to offer certain areas that you've liberated, or the choice to side with certain characters over others, and whilst it does work, and definitely will have an impact on the ending you get, it's not as in-depth as games such as the original Mass Effects were. I don't find myself wanting to play through the story again just to see what I could do differently. I'd much rather watch the videos on YouTube and spend the 30 hours I would have on replaying into doing more side content or playing co-op, goofing about. If I want to play a solo story game, it's because of the story. I want to be thrown into the world, the lore, the characters. Maybe I've just been spoiled by recent first-party AAA story games. Sony, especially recently, have just been great for this, with the likes of Horizon, Days Gone, The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. Even if you disagree on the direction the game's stories went in, especially in the case of The Last of Us Part 2, you can't deny the quality of production in them. I'd always choose a multiplayer game with friends over playing a story game that has a forgettable story. Yes, this game does have co-op, and it is so much better to play in co-op than by yourself. Techland really has perfected co-op ever since the original Dead Island. I found it the best way to play their games, and you can get yourself into some strange and hilarious situations. Just at launch, be aware of bugs, especially in co-op. Even in single player, they're rampant, and whilst we're not talking about a cyberpunk level of game-breaking issues, there are enough glitches here to pull you out of the experience. Things like NPCs' animations only beginning when you get close to them, or your camera randomly moving whenever you attack, have been the most common for me. I do trust Techland to support the game as they did with the original, so if you decide to pick up the game later down the line, it will be in a better state than at launch. Now, whilst I don't condone the sell now, fix later practice that is becoming more and more frequent, it's not the end of the world here. I'm yet to experience a hard crash, though this is likely due to the lack of strain the game puts on the systems graphically. Whilst it is a beautiful game, its art design being superb, it doesn't wow me as much as the original did back in 2016. Some textures do look a bit poor in places, but for the most part, if you can run this game maxed out with ray tracing on, you certainly won't be disappointed. On current gen consoles you have three settings: quality, resolution and performance. Quality targets 1080p, 30 frames per second, all ray traced. Resolution mode aims for what Techland describes to be a near 4K 30 frames per second experience. And the performance mode is 1080p at a solid 60 FPS. The Xbox Series S and last generation consoles are stuck at 1080p 30 FPS or lower. Even on PC, this is a very demanding game. A rig with a 3080 just simply cannot run this game maxed out with ray tracing at 4K 60 FPS. So it seems to be an issue Techland have had in optimizing this game. On my PS5, I've been running with the performance mode the game automatically starts on. There is no option upon loading the game as to what mode you use, only upon going into the menus can you change it. This is likely due to Techland knowing the performance mode at launch is the only playable mode. I advise avoiding the quality and resolution modes as the game cannot consistently perform at 30 FPS with there being occasional dips, and the difference in resolution is just barely noticeable. The only thing you do miss out on is not having the beautiful ray tracing which helps in lighting the world, especially when outside at dawn or dusk. Maybe this is just me being used to playing games at 60 FPS on console now, but even when I play on PC at 30 FPS to see what it's like, it didn't feel anywhere near as bad as it does on the console. This is especially disappointing when I could play the original perfectly on my MacBook Air, all maxed out. Don't get me wrong, I don't expect to play this game on my MacBook, it's just a testament to how well optimised the original game was comparatively. All in all, you already know if you want to buy this game. If you're a fan of the original, a player who loves the zombie genre, or a parkour enthusiast, I'm looking at the Mirror's Edge fans watching this, I do push you to buy it. It's more of the original, for better and worse. There you go guys, those are my thoughts on Dying Light 2. Thank you very much to watch it. As I said, I would recommend you go out and get it, especially if you can have a friend. It makes the experience that much better. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video. It helps out so much in pushing this video to more people. Leave a comment down below if you've played the game, let me know what you think of it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.